Good evening, everybody. It's Eric in the garden. Apologize for not making some videos over the last week and a half. I was actually away for some training for work. I want to show you quickly what the garden looks like now. Some things have gotten a little bit out of control with me being gone for a week and a half, but when you go on an extended vacation, you can really see what works and what doesn't work in your rose garden. Really, in terms of variety, what roses to plant. Some are much more disease resistant, and you can kind of see some of your practices that work well in the garden. Behind me, what works: roses that like to grow well and are watered well. We had a tremendous amount of rain, and then again the irrigation system is running. So this hot princess is up over almost 7 feet tall. So that's looking pretty good. Behind it, Veterans Honor, just as high. So overall the roses are looking fantastic. This is what I mean. I know it's getting a little dark, but a couple things you'll notice: the grass looks tremendous. We finally have had rain here in eastern North Carolina. The thing I want you to notice is the difference in disease resistance. I did not get a chance to spray these roses before I left, and prior to that it may have been a good 2 weeks. So it's been about 3 to 3.5 weeks since I've sprayed these roses. I grow hybrid teas for exhibition, so overall these are not very disease resistant, so they are more susceptible to things such as black spot. With that said, a rose that is a good exhibition rose and resistant, and also a great looking rose, here's Gemini. So if you're looking for one, I can't say enough about Gemini. Look, I can't find any disease on the rose itself, no black spot or anything, and that's I'll spray it, but that's a good 3.5 weeks without spraying. Yeah, I got a dead head, but look at all the blooms it had, and even some ones that are doing decent. Same garden, a little bit different. This is a rose that is well known for exhibition roses. This is Randy Scott. Good growth, same growth as Gemini, a little lighter foliage. But if you look really carefully, I got quite a bit of black spot. And that's to be expected. It's been about 3.5 weeks. I haven't sprayed, so I expected some of this. Not awful. Most of the bush is okay. But again, when you get in there, you can see that I am starting to get some black spots, so I'm going to have to spray that rose. Another rose that's pretty good in terms of exhibition but also disease resistance is Veterans Honor. You don't see any black spot on that rose. So if you go on an extended period or break, that's when you can really see what roses do better in terms of pure disease resistance. Comment below what's your favorite disease resistant rose. I'd be curious to see what varieties you can come up with. I would definitely put Gemini and also Veterans Honor, 2 at the very top of my list. Beautiful blooms, but also very disease resistant. One other thing that has crept up, most of these are on Multiflora, or excuse me, Fortuniana. Those are some nice blooms of Marilyn Monroe. But it is getting some suckers, so I have to cut these. Again, what a sucker is, it's growth below the rootstock, or growth from the rootstock. So in this case, this is St. Patrick, and this is a sucker. This is not the variety I want. This is coming up from the rootstock. So you'll want to cut those off because they will only rob energy from the plant itself. Last thing I'm going to show you, overall the garden is growing really well, but you know what else is growing well? The darn weeds. It seems like they do well in drought, and they do well just in about anything. That one's gonna be easy to pop up, but kind of ironic that weed is almost as big as my Pope John Paul II right there. So I've got a little work to do in the garden, a little bit of weeding, quite a bit of deadheading on those roses. Again, this one, Mr. Caleb, beautiful bloom, not the most resistant to black spot. Again, you contrast that bush there on the other side of the garden with ones such as even Hot Princess, but definitely the Gemini and the Veterans Honor I mentioned. Look at this, just not a spit of black spot on them. I